this podcast, and we're excited today. We've got the Laundromat girl herself, Cami, with us. Cami, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
We are excited to talk all things laundromats, but first, how we start most of our interviews off is we ask this question: what would you say is the worst job you've ever had?
Oh gosh, probably prior to owning my laundromat, I was in healthcare. That's the only job I ever did was I always worked in healthcare. So probably some sort of I was a nursing assistant at a hospital. And so I didn't love it and I hated it. And it was I just that was it's not probably the worst response you've ever had from someone, but it wasn't something that I loved. So
Well, our
probably
follow-up question generally is, what would you say? Would you say that propelled you into the success that you've seen today? And I feel like I kind of know the answer because it ultimately led you to what you do now.
Right. I mean, so I was a nursing assistant for a few years while I was in school to be a nurse. And then I continued to be a nurse for another 10 years when I actually bought my laundromat. So I loved the healthcare world. It wasn't that I didn't hate it. I just didn't want to do it forever. And that's what kind of made me break out.
Sure. Well, we get a whole different litany of answers, and sometimes what did it teach you? The answer is, I just didn't want to do that. I knew
Yeah,
that.
Yeah, that's
I don't have anything bad to say about nursing. I just didn't want to do it forever. It's too hard of a job to do it for a long time. And so I feel like I had done my chapter of healthcare and I was ready to do something different.
Well, I
Yeah.
feel like that's a good place to start with what we want to talk about. So you're working as a nurse,
Mhm.
and did you have like an exit ramp in mind specifically, or you were just working and you're like, man, I'd love to do something else, and you started exploring different options?
It was kind of, yes. It was the year 2020, and I just distinctly remember sitting at the hospital. I was an oncology nurse for 13 years, so it was like a hard unit to be on. And I just remember sitting there, and on the unit I worked on, there was a lot of older women that I worked with, and they were like my parents' age. And I just remember thinking, I cannot still be doing this job when I'm their age. Like this, it's too hard. And so that's what kind of got the ball rolling for me. And so I would just scour on like bizbuysell.com, right, to look for any sort of businesses I could buy because I knew I also didn't want to go back to school. Like I didn't want to be an NP or a nurse anesthetist. I didn't want to do healthcare. I just want to do something different. And so I knew my only route out would be to own some sort of business. And so that's what kind of got the ball rolling.
So
So you
had you been saving up like a nest egg just in
Yeah.
case the right opportunity came across your desk?
Yep. So I had planned. So I actually used my home to purchase my laundromat. So I had bought a home back in like 2015 and I had done a lot of renovations to it. Like I'd flipped it. So I had a lot of like good equity in this house. And so I knew I was wanting to buy. So first I seller financed and pulled out like, I want to say like 80 to 90 grand out of my house. And so I was sitting on that ready to buy. And I probably sat on it for probably a year. And then once it came up, my laundromat came up, I was able to utilize it.
Was that a cash out? Just out of my own curiosity, was that a cash out refinance or was that like a HELOC, or what kind of tools did you use?
Cash out refinance.
I
Mm-hmm.
got you.
Yep.
And was
I'm
that, for anyone
familiar.
that's not familiar with that process, was that an experience that you would recommend to anybody else looking to buy a business?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I don't think I would do a seller finance. I think I would do a HELOC because then you can, I
It's
just
kind of
think
like
it's
a credit card.
yeah, exactly. It's a credit card and you're not having to change your rate, where
Yeah.
back then my rate didn't change that much, where now I think there could be a significant change in your interest
Yeah.
rate had you bought it sooner. So
Well,
I recommend HELOC if you can do it.
yeah, and right now interest rates,
Oh, yeah.
if you're doing a cash out refi, you're probably going from a 3% to like a 6.5. Probably
Which
not
is really
ideal.
not smart. Yep, that's why I
Yeah.
would do the HELOC route for sure.
Yeah. So you're sitting on this nest egg. So at what point did you decide laundromats? Was it just you saw it, you looked into it and said yes, or had you seen some other
Yeah.
people online, or how did
Yeah.
you?
So, well, this was in year 2020, and I feel like like right now, laundromats are kind of like the hot investment to buy. Like everyone, like it's kind of the cool thing. Like Cody Sanchez is talking about it a lot, right? And so, but back then, no one talked about laundromats. And I, like myself, have always been in like the money world. Like even back then before I bought my laundromat, like I was listening to podcasts about real estate and money and business. So I was like in that world. And even though I was listening to podcasts about that stuff, I never heard about laundromats. They just weren't being talked about. And so during that time, I was actually looking at mobile home parks and I was looking at storage units. I was actually under escrow for a mobile home park, which today I'm so glad it didn't work out. But so when that mobile home park didn't work out, I was just like, I just felt super defeated, right? Just obviously it was the right thing. But so when this laundromat came up for sale, I just thought, oh, like, I think I could do a laundromat. Like, that doesn't seem too complicated. Of course, I had never even walked into a laundromat at this point. And so I kind of asked around to see if anybody knew someone who owned a laundromat because not many people do, right? And so I called my friend's uncle, and he owned two laundromats in a completely different city. And so I just cold called this old man and said, hey, can you look at the financials of this laundromat and tell me if it's a good deal? And so I sent it to him, and he's just like this very charismatic man, and he was so helpful. And it turned out to be a great thing for me in buying this laundromat. But I do remember a conversation that I had with him that kind of was like, okay, done. He said, if I could go back in time, he's like, I would never go to college. I would never get my master's degree. He's like, all I would do is buy laundromats because laundromats scream money. And so when he told me that, I was like, all right, so done. Like this is for me. And I still like looking back on that conversation, I still like agree with him. And I would definitely buy another one right now if I could.
God bless good free advice, right?
Right? Yeah, it was definitely a game changer. Little does he know.
Yeah, let me just highlight that for a second because I feel like a lot of people get stuck. We talk about showstoppers on our show, and you kind of get maybe some financials run across your desk, and you're like, I have no idea.
Right.
But
Yeah.
you had the presence of mind to just ask somebody that you knew owned a laundromat, kind of warm-ish connection, like what do you call them? A weak
Yeah.
tie, I've heard it
Yeah,
called before.
totally,
Like
totally.
you're maybe familiar with each other, and you ask, and then it's an investment now that has panned out for you, and it's arguably crazy successful, all because
Mhm.
you asked. And I think a lot of
Right.
people get stuck and they're afraid to ask because maybe they're afraid of what somebody's going to think, or they
Mhm.
think they're in over their head, and really it's actually pretty simple. You just don't know what you don't know.
Right.
So for those listening to this podcast right now, just ask. Just take the
Mhm.
leap and ask. And when you don't know something, just ask.
Right.
You never
I
know who's
totally
willing to help.
Yep.
Now, before we go more into the specifics of the laundromat
Mhm.
details, I always am interested to hear people's thought process of like how they arrive at different conclusions that have propelled them to where they are.
Mhm. Mhm.
And it sounds like from the beginning you were pretty keyed in on pre-existing businesses that you could buy from somebody else,
Mhm.
but you had that entrepreneurial streak. What was it that kind of made you favor pre-existing businesses versus creating a product or a service and creating your own business that way?
I think because I listened to a podcast and then eventually read this person's book. It was called, I might have to look it up. It's like buy before build, build before. Do you know what I'm talking about?
It rings
It's
a bell. Hold on, I'm
okay.
looking.
In
Anyways,
real time, we'll look.
sorry. But it's a book talking about how you should always buy before build. Because building, you don't make money. You could easily go an entire year without making money. But when you buy a business, you're making money on day one. And because of that, it's just way less risky. And so for me, I am definitely more on the conservative side. And I just didn't want to take that risk. And so buying to me just felt like it just made more sense to me. And so building, it was never even an option for me.
Was the book by Walker Dable?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
Mhm.
buy
So
then
that book
build.
is Buy Then Build: How
Yes, there you
Acquisition
go.
Entrepreneurs Outsmart the Startup Game. That's the
Yes,
title
it
for
was a
anybody interested.
really great book, and he does really great podcasts, yeah. So that's kind of
Cool.
what definitely, like, put me that direction.
Okay, we'll link that in the show notes for our listeners. So, so you are thinking about, well, I guess let's go to, you've had this conversation. You have somebody take a look at the financials. You're ready to take the leap. Do you just then buy it, quit, or did you kind of like dip your toe in the water? How
Right.
did that process of leaving your job and diving into this whole new venture that you pretty
Mhm.
much know nothing about, how did that go
Yep.
for you?
Pretty much. I literally knew nothing about it. And so what I did, so when I bought my laundromat, it was just a regular self-serve laundromat. You have machines, customers come in, right, and use them. Like that's it. Very basic laundromat. And so when I bought it, I continued working as a nurse full time. I worked 3 12-hour shifts and I continued working like that for probably 7 or 8 months. But once I bought my laundromat, I started joining these like Facebook forums and just to like have someone to talk to another owner, right? Because I had nobody on my team, right? Like I was kind of flying solo. And so I joined these Facebook forums just to ask questions. And it was in those forums that I found other laundromat owners talking about pickup and delivery and how they're just making all this money. And this was like a whole new concept to me that I didn't even know you could do out of your laundromat. And so when I learned that, I launched it 6 months later, and that took a lot of my time. And so because of that, once that started going, I started slowly going down to part-time. So it wasn't until 3 years after owning my laundromat did I like officially quit. So I stayed on part-time for a long time as more of a just in case, it's just owning a business is just, it's just a little more risky. It's a little bit scary. And so I stayed on as a nurse for a long time before I really felt comfortable to finally leave.
Now, I feel like one thing that a lot of people will say is, "Hey, I didn't feel comfortable until X point."
Mhm.
And a lot of people are trying to figure out what that point would look like for them. What did that look like for you? Was it a percentage replacement of your income?
Right.
Was it X profitability? How did that work for you that you decided to
Um,
exit?
Yeah, probably because I probably felt comfortable because by the time I actually quit, at that time I had gone so far down in part-time, I was only working 2 shifts every 6 weeks. So I really wasn't working that much. And so the laundromat had already taken over my full-time income. My nursing was just kind of like my side hustle in a sense, right? Because gone so far down in part-time. So I guess I didn't really have like a specific number where it's like, okay, now it's time. It was more like my the ROI of my time spent at the laundromat is much higher than spending time at the hospital. And so that's why I was like, I think I'm done. And I no longer, whenever I'd go into the hospital, my mind was elsewhere. Like I was so focused on growing that than being there. And I just knew it wasn't a place that I should be with that type of mindset.
Sure.
Now,
And I
was
mean,
there any
it's worked out for you.
yeah.
Right? Yes, luckily.
Now, was there any concern with like, I don't know, um, like you said yourself, you've never been into a laundromat. I've never been to maybe one time in my entire life.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's kind of this, I don't know, stereotype that they're in sort of more rundown areas because, they're impoverished communities, people that don't own a washer and dryer that need to use it. Was there any concern with like I don't know what type of location you bought this in, but I don't know how you felt about that diving into this industry,
Or how
Yeah.
did you vet the location?
or how did you vet? Yeah.
Right. Well, your first question, I have so it most laundromats are in low income areas. Like that's where laundromats do well. Like they wouldn't do well in other areas, right? Obviously. And so that just kind of comes along with the reality of owning a laundromat. But I think I've never really felt unsafe being there. My employees have been with the laundromat for a long time, so they've never felt unsafe. I mean, we have cameras and alarms and things like that set up. But whenever I enter into the back of my laundromat, it's just like this open parking lot, like hidden behind a post office. So I just feel like I've never been too concerned about it, but of course, it's always something you have to keep be aware of. But I guess that wasn't something that held me back on it. I think I was when I saw the laundromat, like the first time I walked into my laundromat, like my immediate thought was, I can do this. Like this is something I can do. It felt so good to me that I guess safety wasn't a huge concern. I just felt like this was a good thing for me, and I it didn't really I didn't really hesitate on it because of that.
I
I
feel
don't
like
know.
that's kind of an I feel like that's an interesting point that we could unpack a little bit more is just starting at the baseline question of what was it that appealed to you about laundromats in the first place? Because it sounds like you were sold by the good advice that you got, but
Mhm,
what was it initially that was like, I think I may actually do this?
mhm.
The um, uh, trailer park instance notwithstanding?
Oh, wait, so your question is on why I would want to do a laundromat?
Like, what was it that drew your attention to begin with?
Oh, well, I just saw the laundromat as a very simple business, and it is. Like a laundromat's very basic. It's cash in, cash out. That's it. And you keep a clean, well lit laundromat, you're going to do fine. They say that a laundromat has a 95% success rate. So you really, if you just put a good, like a fair enough amount of effort into a laundromat business, it's going to be successful. And so when I walked in, and I knew that going in, I had then researched some of it before even walking into it. And so I knew that. And so I just thought this is something that I could do. I didn't want a complicated business. This was something that I could figure out.
So that's taking an existing laundromat. So back to our, I guess our question from earlier, like how do you vet it? What were you looking at financially to make sure this was a sound investment? And maybe if you're willing, like what did you pay for it, and
Mhm.
what was coming in at the time? How did you know this was going to be a good deal?
Yeah. So the laundromat was listed for 300,000, and we went ahead and did seller financing, which seller financing is very common in laundromats because banks don't love to loan on laundromats, and so seller financing is common. And so I put down 200,000 as a down payment, and then the seller held the note for me, or seller financed me for the remaining 100,000 over a 2-year time with a 6% interest rate. So that's how the deal happened. But with every laundromat, it's always different because it just depends on what that laundromat is making, right? So it's a laundromat is a 3 to 5 multiple, and that's how you figure out what it's worth. But also there's some things that come into play, like the age of the washing machines. That's a huge, a huge a huge
Factor.
Thank you. Okay. It's a huge it's a huge factor when it comes into how much that laundromat is worth, as well as like the lease and a few other things too. So, that's what I was looking at.
I did find it interesting that you listed it as a good thing, the cash in, cash out. It feels like our culture is quickly shifting away from cash altogether. So
Mhm.
I may have my answer to my question already, but are you making any quote unquote modern updates to
Yeah.
your equipment, like to have tap to pay kind of thing, or are you strictly keeping it cash?
Yeah, so I'm actually hopefully in the next few months transitioning over to a card system as well. So that's kind of like the best thing about laundromats nowadays is that a lot of them they don't have any tech involved, right? Like it's literally just quarter. And so coming into owning a laundromat, there's a lot of value you can bring to a laundromat. Just like buying a house, right? You redo the kitchen, redo the bathroom, you're bringing value to the house. Same thing with a laundromat. Like you can bring in a card system, bring in some sort of app where they can pay off their app, or you can get new machines where there's more tech involved where you can do different upsells and all these things, and then adding on pickup and delivery, of course, too. So those are three main things that you can bring value into a laundromat that now makes it worth more.
So I think a lot of people are going to want to know. Obviously, pickup and delivery is more time consuming,
Hmm.
but maybe when you're first starting in a laundromat, pickup and delivery aside, how much time and energy goes into this? And then when you add pickup and delivery, like how much of your day are you spending working on this laundromat?
Yeah. So if it was just like a regular self-serve laundromat, no pickup and delivery, probably like 5 or 6 hours a week, depending if you're like also doing the repairs yourself. Like I don't do my own repairs, and so that doesn't consume my time, right? So probably like 5 or 6 hours. That's like managing employees, collecting quarters, and just kind of just managing the place to make sure it's kept well. But also that's also like months down the road after purchasing your laundromat. I always tell people when you first buy a laundromat, you need to be there every day because you need to build relationship with your employees as well as you need to build relationship with your customers that are walking in the door too. So I always tell them you need to be there every day for 2 weeks just to put in that time because a lot of people don't realize that a laundromat it's like this little community. People come there to do laundry with their friends. They meet there. So when a new owner takes over the laundromat, there's lots of like talk. A lot of people are talking, wondering who the new owner is. Are they going to be raising their prices? Are they going to have to find a new laundromat? It's a lot of a little, it there's gossip that's happening. And so as a new owner, I always tell people, just be there every day, introduce yourself so that those people, your employees and your customers walking in the door can like build trust with you and stick around.
And
I
what
love
are your Go ahead, Kyle.
I was just gonna say I love the idea of a laundromat being like a community coffee shop. Like
Yeah, I
Oh,
was
people
thinking that too.
people come and dish.
totally. And laundromats do. They'll like serve coffee. Like there's some that are like that. It really is like it's a community place where people gather. It's kind of interesting and it's also kind of makes it fun too.
So you mentioned employees. What are your employees doing? When I think of laundromat, I think like there's machines, they got quarter slots, people come
Mhm.
in, they do their laundry and they leave. So what are your employees doing on a day-to-day basis?
Well, pickup and delivery aside, if it was just a regular self-serve laundromat, they're cleaning because laundromats do get really dirty. Like it really is shocking how dirty they can get. And so your employees will be there cleaning, and then I'll like my laundromat. We close at our last wash is at 10 p.m. and so we close for the night. So they make sure to like make sure everyone's kicked out. Right, no one's going to be sleeping in my laundromat overnight. And then they help customers with like a jam, if a quarter gets jammed or something like that, just to kind of be there and to like just constantly cleaning really is what they do. And they're not there the entire time it's open for my laundromat. They're only there like in the evenings if we're not doing pickup and delivery orders. So every owner kind of runs the business a little bit different. Some owners swear that by having an employee there all day long, they make more money because of it, because the customers like having someone there to ask questions and things like that. So it really is kind of dependent on the laundromat and that owner of what he wants to do.
So as far as your ownership style, we've talked about the idea that you can kind of make it like a community coffee shop. You've talked
Mhm.
about different ownership styles. How would you describe your ownership style and what did you try to implement to make that place your own?
Yeah, so initially I started the pickup and delivery, and so now because of that, my employees are there a lot more during the day. There's usually an employee there almost the entire day from open to close now because of it. But there was a lot of things so the hospital that I came from, and I think any hospital that you really work at, they focus a large part on like teamwork, on building like a good culture. And so some of those things that we did at the hospital, I try to like incorporate in my business of like teamwork and like shift huddle and things like that and labeling and just staying organized. And I use a lot of like the things I learned as a nurse into my business and it's been really helpful. And I feel like I've I mean, I'm not perfect, right? But I feel like I've really tried to put a good focus on building a good culture among my employees, that we are a team, we are not against each other. This is like we are in this together and accomplishing the goal of finishing these orders.
Now, I'm sure that there's been, a learning curve as you've gone along, whether that be hiring or it sounds like the drop off and pickup was kind of an expansion
Mhm.
from the standard business. So what would you say is kind of some of the maybe mistakes you made along the way or any kind of hardship that you overcame as you learned more about the business itself?
Yeah, I mean, there were things like in the beginning when I first bought my laundromat, probably some mistakes that I made is I just saw this laundromat and it was kind of a rundown laundromat. Like it was pretty ghetto inside. And so I walked in the laundromat going, "Oh, I want to fix this. We're going to do this. We're going to do all these things," right? This was before I even started pickup and delivery. And looking back on that now with like my seasoned eyes, I wish I wouldn't have. Like there were some things that I did that I'm like, that was a waste of money. Like no one cares that I did that, you know? And so I wish I wouldn't have done anything for the first 3 months because then I would have probably saved money. But going into it, I just thought, oh, I'm going to make all these changes and this is going to be an amazing laundromat when I wish I would have just owned the laundromat for 3 months and just kind of felt the rhythm of it and learned the business being there instead of wanting to jump in and make all these changes. And so I think that was a mistake I made that I could have saved money on had I not done those pointless renovations.
I feel like you're in good company though, because anybody, whenever they make something theirs, you go into whatever that is with the
Mhm.
excitement of like, well, I can do this and I can do this and I can do this, and it's like
Mhm.
may or may not make sense, but part of the reason you did it is the vision you had.
Right. Totally. Totally. Yeah.
So you're adding value. I guess tell me about that like expansion side of it. You know, you could just have this laundromat and just sit back and let it run itself for
Mhm.
the most part, or
Mhm.
you could add value to it, add services. Tell me about like your mindset of, you add pickup and delivery, but now that's probably more working hours. I saw,
Mhm.
I think on Instagram, you were posting about like an iron that you've
Oh, right.
recently implemented and maybe buying another one. So like, I guess when you're thinking about that, how much value is that adding? How much, I guess, revenue are you then? How much additional revenue are you pocketing from adding that, um, and so on?
Right. Yeah. So when I initially decided to start doing the pickup and delivery, I just saw my laundromat as like when I first even learned of the concept of pickup and delivery, I just remember thinking, how could I not do this? Like why not capitalize on the real estate that I already own? Because the more time, because anytime my machines aren't turning, I'm not making money. Right. And so and with a self-serve laundromat, you're really kind of at the mercy of like a 3 mile radius of where your laundromat is because your customers aren't generally going to drive further than 3 miles to go to a laundromat, right? So you're kind of at that mercy of the neighborhood. And so I thought when you bring laundry into the laundromat, my machines can be turning 24/7 if I wanted to. If I wanted to, I can bring on a night shift crew, right? So the possibility of growing my business was just like my square radius was now the entire city instead of just that 3 miles, right? And so that's kind of why I was like, this is how could I not jump on this opportunity?
Well,
Um,
how are you getting those, I guess, leads for people who want to do pick up and drop off? Like, where are you running ads online or for people or social media? Like, where do you find these people that are like, yeah, I don't want to do my own laundry. Can you come pick it up and drop it off for me?
Right. So I did of course you need to have a good website. I did a few Google ads, didn't love them. What I found to really catapult my pickup and delivery forward was I made an Instagram and I reached out to like the Instagram moms, right? The moms that have a large following, but are still that I felt like had a following in my specific area. And I reached out to them and said, hey, we'll do your laundry for free if you don't mind talking about us on your stories. And I got 10 moms. We did their laundry for free and all 10 of them became a customer, right? And that's so it just I got flooded with orders within a first week or two of these moms talking about us because every mom with kids, right, is happy to outsource their laundry. And so using Instagram as a tool really pushed my business forward and wasn't until maybe 6 or 7 months after doing residential laundry is when commercial accounts started reaching out to me. And now that's kind of where my focus is commercial, because commercial, you just make way more money. It's way more bang for your buck. But residential was definitely my stepping stone to get to commercial.
What a cool idea. I love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
When you say commercial, what kind of businesses are we talking
Like,
about? Like
yeah. So,
hotels, or I don't. I'm
yeah,
like, who needs laundry? What kind of
I
business
know.
needs laundry
It's
done?
honestly actually surprising. Like salons, we do all wedding venues with that iron you had mentioned. We do, let's see here, clinics, doctor's offices. We do event centers. We do any sort of place that have uniforms. So, any sort of concert theater. We have a few concert theaters. Like it's honestly shocking. There really is laundry everywhere. You just have to go find it. I have two large construction companies where we do their harnesses. So it is honestly shocking that there is money in laundry.
Yeah, I would have never thought like
Mhm.
of the business or the corporate side of it or commercial side of it.
My first thought went like to a catering company who has like
Oh,
Or like
dirty,
tablecloths and
yeah.
yeah, and we do those too. Yeah, but we even do pest control, right? Pool companies that have uniforms. So yeah, there's laundry everywhere for sure.
Yeah, can't overstate the value of word of mouth for sure.
Totally. Mhm.
yeah. So then,
So
oh,
go
go ahead,
ahead.
Kyle. You got
What I
it.
was gonna say is, so you've got your laundromat, it is profitable, you have left your nursing job, you're confident in it, and then there's kind of a little bit of a pivot that takes place to where you are doing a lot of talking about your journey on TikTok and Instagram,
Mhm.
but then you're also starting to do some coaching too. Can you talk a little bit about the origin of that process?
Yeah, so I had no plans on getting onto social media, but this last summer, July of this year, last year, I went to this conference for laundromat owners, and they do exist. They are actually really common. And so I went to this really great conference in July, and I met this guy who is on social media. His main platform is TikTok. And so I went up and talked to him. He said, you should totally do it. He's like, especially that you're a girl kind of in a man's world, right? And he's like, I think you could do really well. So I was like, okay, like I'm going to do it. And so I came home from that conference, and that's when I posted my first TikTok. I first started on TikTok, and then now I'm on TikTok and Instagram as well. But yeah, I noticed once I immediately started talking about my laundromat, like hundreds, I probably get honestly probably 100 a day of people asking me, how do I start? How do I start? How do I start? People see owning a laundromat as something so overwhelming and have just no clue like what the first step is. And so that's when I started offering like this guide of helping people, giving them like concrete things to do, step 1, step 2, step 3, and helping them to get to that point.
So how quickly did that grow? Because you said you started in like July, and you got like 100,000 followers on Instagram now. So like, how was that kind of crazy to see it take off like
It
that?
was. Honestly, it was actually really fun. So I started TikTok in July. I now have like 200 something followers, 200,000. But Instagram, I just started, I'm not joking, like 3 weeks ago. Because once I heard TikTok could be banned, I was like, all right, I better jump on Instagram just in case. And it's just taken off on Instagram. So
Is that
it's
is
really
that just like you is that just like you created a reel or two and they went viral?
Yeah,
And
I probably had like 3 or 4 back to back go viral. And yeah, I think people love to hear about me talking about quitting my job, because almost everybody wants to quit their job. And so they see that as like, oh, I could do that. And laundromats are really kind of a business for the average man, right? And I think people see that and know that. And a lot of people are, they understand the laundromat. Like it is just money in, money out. And so people are really attracted to it.
yeah, outside of like needing to kind of know how finances work, or how the like financials of a business work, it really is just like, well, you put this much money in, and this and you go pick up this much cash every day,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
that's it. Like it's not like there's nothing complex to it really.
Right.
So
Right.
yeah, like if you got a lump sum that you can plug into a business, then not
Mm-hmm.
really have to think.
Right.
Sounds
And
like
it's
a
a
good
great,
one.
yeah, and
Which
it's a great retirement plan. If you can just hold on to it for 20 years, that can be your retirement when you go to sell. It's great.
Well, I hate to ask this question right after talking about how uncomplicated it is, but I did want to know, how often are you having to do maintenance on your equipment or replacement of machines and things like
Yeah.
that?
So when I bought my laundromat, I had quite a bit of old machines, so they needed quite a bit of maintenance, which was costing me a lot of money, because I can do basic repairs on like fixing a fan or a belt or things like that. But it was the more it was requiring a lot of money on paying a repairman to come fix them. And so I went ahead and bought all new washing machines probably 2 years after owning my laundromat. And not only are they more like energy efficient, so they're better on my utilities, but there's more upsells, right? Like your customer can pick like an extra rinse or extra hot water. So there you can make a little bit more in upsells that way. Plus, I think customers just like new. And so I've only seen my revenue go up since owning my new machine. So it was definitely like a really great purchase. But because having new machines, my repairs aren't that much. I have repairs on my dryers because my dryers are old, but dryers last forever. Like dryers can last 40 years. It's the washing machines that really only last not much longer than 15 years. After that, you're going to have to be doing a lot of repairs.
Yeah, those washing machines where after a while it sounds like you got a body in it. Da-dun, da-dun,
Honestly,
da-dun.
they get a lot of, wear on them for sure.
Sure.
It's so frustrating because the cliche is they don't make them like they used to, and it's
Oh,
really
honestly,
true. Like
I agree.
appliances in the 70s were built to last.
Last for sure.
Like
Yep.
I've
Without a
got
doubt.
grandparents with the same appliances that they had when they're,
Really?
And
like
they're
they don't ever
lime green, I'm sure.
like
Yeah.
I moved into this house, even this was a fixer upper, and I mean they had all like their dishwasher was an original dishwasher from the
Wow.
60s, I think.
Just
And
last.
like those things, they just don't, they're ugly, but they don't break.
Right.
So
Yep.
it's frustrating that I feel like all the appliance makers got together and they're like, we need to use cheaper parts so people come back and buy
Yeah,
more.
designed obsolescence.
Yep.
Yeah,
I agree. I know.
but that's just anyway. That's my.
We'll
That's
put
just
that
how
soapbox away for a second.
it is.
um.
Can you tell us? So you're getting like 100 DMs a day and stuff like that. So is the coaching kind of a new frontier for you that you're doing, or like what are you offering specific
Yeah.
right now in way of coaching?
Right. So like in the coaching in this, so I basically just do this course as well as if they want to book a phone call with me too. And I probably do like 2 phone calls a day. Like people are interested to learn more about it. But yeah, the course is basically on learning how to buy, on how to go about that, and then actually owning the laundromat. And then I plan on hopefully the next week or two do one specific to just pick up and delivery and how to grow it, how to make money off of it, how to find customers, things like that. So I'm going to be doing another one as well because I keep getting the same questions, so I'm just trying to answer them, right, by offering these things.
You might be able to. Yeah, I was just saying you're gonna have like an FAQ here soon.
Right?
Just
Yeah,
a
just
PDF FAQ. Here you go.
Yep, here
yeah.
you go.
Now, how much of your business would you like? Can you maybe give us a pie chart? Like, how much are you making from just your standard laundry services, people coming in and doing their laundry, and then you've got your pickup and delivery services, you've got your coaching.
Mhm.
Like, how much?
And TikTok too, probably. You probably
Oh,
monetize
do you
TikTok.
get? Have you
I
monetized TikTok at
get
this
money
point?
on views. I get money on views. Yeah, with TikTok, I'm averaging almost like I don't know if you want an exact number, but with my views on TikTok, I make about 4,000 a month. That's kind of been my average on views. Yeah,
That's
and then
impressive.
with
Congrats on that.
thank you. And then with Instagram, because Instagram, I can like post my link to like their DM where they can like comment link, right? And then it gets
Mhm.
sent to their DM, which you can't do that with TikTok. But with that, I'm like averaging almost $600 a day from just selling my course with that link because so Instagram's been really great, but also Instagram has been only around for 3 weeks, right? So it could be changing later. But with my laundromat, let's see, my laundromat is about 40% of my income, and then my pickup and delivery is 60% of my income. But that
Oh,
does
wow.
change. Yeah, it does change a little bit in the summer because my bread and butter when it comes to my pickup and delivery are weddings. We do wedding venues, table linens, napkins. A lot of people where I live don't get married in the summer. And so my peak season is all winter. So I definitely slow down with my pickup and delivery in the summer. So it's definitely seasonal. Same with like the laundromat self serve. It is seasonal as well. Like we slow down in the summer compared to the winter.
I'm baffled right now. I'm like processing everything you just said.
Right.
I'm still hung up on the 4,000 a month
From TikTok views.
views.
Well,
Mhm.
correct me if I'm wrong, TikTok, like, you have to post a video that's at least a minute long, and
Yep.
you get,
Yep.
like,
You
a
notice
certain.
all my videos are like a minute and 1 second.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
a minute.
You got like
Yeah.
a little stopwatch on.
Right, seriously. But yeah, it has to be over a minute, and you only get a certain amount of qualified views. So my one video can get 1 million views, but only 40,000 of them were qualified views, meaning they like watched the entire video or they engaged in some way. So TikTok really is in control of how many engaged views I have, right? They've determined that. And then after that month, they just kind of add up. So like I'll have one video I make like $900 on and another video I make $1.50. I consider TikTok and same with Instagram as like playing the lottery. Like the more times I play, the more likely I'm going to win. So I always try and post twice a day and just like that's my routine. I post twice a day and just hope that maybe one sticks, right? But yeah, I really think it's like some I'll work so hard on one video and think, oh, this is gonna kill it. It's gonna do so well. And then like it like flops, does nothing. But there's a video where I had like 2 misspellings, like, and I got 15 million views off of it. It honestly
I
is shocking. There is
I
no
feel
rhyme
this.
or reason to social media.
So I run our Instagram, and I also have my own Instagram,
Mhm.
Kinda Fit Father. Everybody go follow me. Kyle loves when I shameless plug my Instagram.
I like it. Good. I will.
But yeah, I've been playing this game for about a year now, trying to like see what goes viral. And I'm right there with you. Like I'll post one and I'll be like, oh, this is gonna crush it. And I'll get like 1,000 views. And then
Right.
I'll post one and like I'll watch it back and be like, oh yeah, like I butchered this. The format is all like I forgot a quotation mark here, and like there's so much wrong with this video. And I'm like,
Right.
I don't have the energy to redo it. And then I get like 10 million views. And you're like,
It
why? I don't
just
understand.
Yep.
Like we had a guest, Clark Gary. I feel like we talk about Clark Gary on the show a lot since we had him as a guest, but he's kind of a content creator.
Mhm.
kind of a content creator coach now, and he talks about like there's a form of like a viral formula that he tends to follow. So a lot of his
Mhm.
videos do go viral, but you
Okay.
can't guarantee. Like
Right.
there's some other powers that be in
Yeah.
social
No
media.
control.
You can follow all the rules and then
Mhm.
like a video can flop and you have no idea why. So it's just
Right.
kind of like you do your best you can, do the best you can, and the more reps you put in, the better you get as you go.
Exactly. Yep. Yep. That's why I always stick to the routine of 2 a day and just I also try to not get emotional about my videos either. I'm like, I won't get like I try not to get like defeated, like, oh, forget it, I'm done. Like I haven't gotten a viral for a video for a week. I'm not gonna do it. I'm just gonna take a break or I try not to get that way. I'm like 2 a day. Like I don't care no matter how many views I'm getting or not getting. If I stick to that routine, like it's going to pay off. So but not getting emotional is hard because you put a lot of work into it. It's like, why am I doing this? So
Yeah.
it's a hard game to play.
Yeah, I filmed videos that took me like all day and they got like
Yeah,
2,000 views and I'm like, what a
it's
waste.
exhausting. It really is. It's super exhausting. I totally agree. No, it's hard
Yeah.
work. It
I
is.
do like your lottery analogy though, like just the
It is.
idea of like, I don't know what this scratch off's gonna
It,
be, but it's
it
gonna be
really,
something.
yep, just playing the lottery. It's the truth though. Yep. But sometimes I've won, so it's worked out.
And you said that you are able to monetize your Instagram a little bit. It's just more difficult.
So when you say monetize, like I have that link that I sell, are you referring to
So
something?
Okay.
yeah, so I think through Instagram you can only it's either like you get brand deals or you have like some offering that you have that
Yeah.
a viral video kind of enough people have seen it that
Mhm.
somebody's going to go check out the link in your bio or whatever.
Right. Yep, exactly. I have never worked with like a brand deal or anything like that. I am currently hoping to hopefully to work with this company that does they would be able to switch my laundromat from quarter to card. And so that's what I'm hoping that happens in the next few weeks. We actually have a meeting tomorrow. And so I'm hoping that that happens. But I work with my software company that organizes my entire pickup and delivery. So I work with them as well. And so I kind of like to stick within my industry of working with brands that also I just want. Like this company that could switch my company from my business from quarter to card. I mean, I've been looking into them for over a year. They're kind of like the creme de la creme when it comes to doing that. So I haven't done I don't do like beauty makeup. I don't do any of those kinds of brand deals. I just want to focus to laundromats.
So quick question then on that to go I know we talked about this earlier, we're bringing it back up now. Is there
Mhm,
any concern so, again, a lot of laundromats, I don't know where your laundromat is, but a lot of laundromats are in like more impoverished communities, people that
mhm,
don't own laundromats, and a
mhm,
lot of impoverished communities don't have access to credit or bank accounts.
mhm,
So then is there a concern that by removing the quarter slot and adding a card reader
mhm.
that maybe you would lose some customers?
Yeah. Actually, you're the first person to ever ask me that question, because
It
it's
just it just popped in my
no,
head. I thought I'd throw it out there.
no, it's a real concern because a lot of my customers don't have bank accounts, right? And so that is something to think about because there are some companies where they use like their credit card, right? Which wouldn't work for them. So now I'm losing a customer because of it. But this company that I'm looking into, it's basically what it is like you put a dollar bill in and then you load money onto this card. So it's kind of like a gift
Mm.
card. And you take that card, wave it over the machine, and then it turns on. So it's more of like that system where it's still like tangible cash, but it takes away the quarters.
It's like Dave& and Buster's, like you
Yeah,
load your
exactly.
card up and go play the laundry machine.
And
Yeah, laundry machine, clean
yep,
clothes.
the big perk when it comes to doing that though, it's like there's this thing called the float. And what that is when you load money onto a card, right? And then you say you put $10 onto a card, but you only use $8.75, right? So now you have $1.25 left on that card, right? A lot of customers will lose the card or they're just passerbys, they're truckers, so they come and do their laundry and then go on to the next city, right? Or they go to a different laundromat or whatever it is. So now as an owner, I have this flow of money on that this customer paid me, but never utilized it. And so I was talking to this one owner. He owns 3 laundromats, and they're pretty big laundromats. And he has this system. And within his float, among all 3 laundromats in 1 year, he had over $60,000. So, like that flow of just those like pennies can really add up among customers.
So I'm an actuary. I don't know if you know what that is by my day job.
Uh-huh.
And so
I
I'm
told her
thinking
beforehand,
like
it's just very boring.
Yep,
Just to let you
that's
know.
what he said exactly.
So I'm thinking like probability statistics, like how much of that 60,000, it's not your 60,000, but like, if of that float, how much of that could you then expect to actually keep? Because some people are going to come back and use it, but some people live across the country or whatever and are never going to come back. So do you
Mhm.
have do you keep
I
track of that? Or I guess you don't have it
It's
yet.
not me. Right. But from what I gather, it's kind of like that's what that's what they keep. I don't know if there's a huge percent because people will come back, but I think percentage is a lot smaller. They consider that as like that's kind of theirs, I think, you know.
Well, I guess at the end of the day, like it's like Starbucks. I've loaded money onto my Starbucks card, and at some point, like I've already paid Starbucks.
Mhm. Mhm.
So it's just kind of it's already in their realm, and I'm either gonna get a free drink or it's just gonna stay there forever.
Right, totally.
So
And I think there's been this big study, and I don't wanna, like, quote numbers or anything, but I know they did a study on gift cards because businesses make so much money off gift cards. That's why they're happy to give out gift cards because there's only a percentage of people that actually utilize the entire amount on that card. There's a study I know there's because I remember reading about it once. So it's definitely a thing that not a lot of people will end up spending that full amount. And so that business is now making money.
I think that Steve and I are always the ones that use the full gift card, but
yeah,
Yeah.
we'll for
we,
sure we'll make
we
sure
would
it's
we would
exhausted.
skew that study data.
Yeah, you guys are the exception, I promise, not the rule.
Yeah.
I want to know. You mentioned someone else owning 3 laundromats,
Mhm,
and you're talking about the innovation you're doing to make the changes for people to be able to use cards at your laundromat. But
mhm,
are you looking to purchase and expand into multiple different laundromats,
mhm.
or I kind of want to know what you're forecasting for in the future?
Yeah, I mean, it's very common for laundromat owners to own multiple, and it makes sense, right? Like if you own one, you can't. It's like your first business is always the hardest one. The second one is easy, right? Because you already know the game plan. So I would definitely be interested in buying a second one. I just haven't found one that I liked. Plus, my huge focus is on growing my pickup and delivery, right? Like that's like my baby right now, and it's doing so well for me that I like that. Plus, if I were to buy a second laundromat, it is great, but it's also okay, just another headache, right? It's like I'm doing so like I'm kind of at that point where I feel very comfortable. Like I don't feel like I need to make more money. Like I'm not like this like money hungry bro. You know what I mean? Like I feel really happy with what I'm doing and I really like doing this social media thing. So my time is really preoccupied in growing my pickup and delivery and now growing my social media. But I wouldn't take off, not buying a laundromat off the table, but it's definitely more on the back burner.
Now, how much time are you putting into this? I think a lot of people, we've talked about like a lot on this show. People want passive income more than anything else. And
Right.
I think you could probably make it almost fully passive if you wanted to, but I'm curious how much time, energy, effort are you putting into the business yourself? Like
Yeah.
what's your day-to-day like?
Yeah. Well, I only go into my laundromat about twice a week because you almost have to like collect money before the weekend, collect money after the weekend, right? Because the weekends are always the busiest. So my
Mhm.
routine is to go in about twice a week, sometimes three, depending. But that's kind of my routine. And then
And then are you just there to collect the money and go? Like how long does that take you?
collect the money, talk with my manager, talk to the team, walk around the laundromat, see if any machines need to be repaired, anything changes that need to be updated. I always do like a walkthrough. And even I have a garage attached to the back of my laundromat. So I kind of go through there as well. It's just kind of more of like a touch base, I guess. I'm usually only there for like 30, 40 minutes. So I'm not there that long. But I also talk to my manager every day when it comes to the pickup and delivery. We're in constant communication as well. But if it was just a self-serve laundromat, it would be a lot more simpler. But I also I never want to tell people that this is a passive income because, when you don't put a focus on something, that something only just gets smaller. Like it doesn't, there's no growth that happens. So
Mhm.
really have to be vigilant. And this is a business, this isn't a passive income. And so the more focus you put on it, the more money you're going to make or grow from it.
Before we get into the listener question, we want to give you the opportunity to share all of your socials where people can learn more about you, where they can find your course that you've referred to for anybody else who's interested in taking your coaching. Could you please tell us?
Yeah, so I'm on TikTok as Laundromat Girl, and then on Instagram I'm at Laundromat Girl Official. And then in my profile is where you can see my link to all my guides.
All right. Well, with that said, I think we're ready for our listener question, and then we'll wrap it
Yep.
up.
Go
Yep.
ahead.
So we have listeners send in questions to me at Kyle@witnessbusiness.com, and I've kind of got like an aggregate of just a bunch of different questions that I've saved, and I like this one because I feel like it's appropriate for where we're at here.
Okay.
So for anybody who is not content with their current career and looking to purchase a business, what would you give as a piece of advice as a first step to potentially going to buy a current business?
I would say I would recommend on learning how to analyze a deal. Like a lot of people will look at numbers and just it looks like super foreign to them. So understanding how to look at numbers and you to look at a laundromat or any business and say this is a good one versus this is a bad one. Understanding the difference between a good and bad one because once you do have that money or when you are ready to buy that business, you can jump on it quick instead of going, oh, wait, I don't know. Should I? Having those doubts. So I feel like practicing now on learning and getting that education to analyze a deal is super important so that you're ready in the future.
And to follow up on that, do you have any resources that you would recommend or that you utilized as you got started?
Well, I just had that friend, right, that helped me and he educated me. In my course, I talk about on how to analyze a deal. But I'm sure there's other places online that you could look. But I know they're not very easy to find because they're always mixed in with those YouTube videos, right? So it is a little bit tricky. But I also recommend another thing that will help you is like finding some sort of mentor or someone that you can talk to on the phone about that deal. I think that will be a huge game changer,
Well, I could be wrong, but that sounds like a good reason to check out your course.
right?
And I've heard so many times on this show people saying like find somebody that's done it. That there's a lot of things in life that I don't know how to do, but somebody does. So
Mhm,
find somebody that's done it and just reach out. And
mhm,
maybe they'll charge you some money, but if you're
mhm.
serious about this thing, then in theory, the money you pay them is going to pay dividends because you're going to make that back and then some if this works out. So a lot of people are hesitant to want to pay anybody anything. They just want free information. But like at the end of the day, you need the information if you're going to make this happen. So
And if you're
go.
willing to put down a lot of money for a deal, you wanna make sure it's the right deal. And I think people get so hungry to buy a business that they end up buying the wrong one just for the sake of owning it, right? They're so desperate to get out of whatever situation they're in. And so, yeah, it's worth it to spend the money to get educated on getting the right deal. Because I heard this quote once that it was like some of the best investments you're ever gonna make are the ones you don't take. Because when you don't take a bad business, that bad one is gonna follow you for a really long time.
Yeah, I've heard it said before that the best favor that God does for us sometimes is unanswered prayers.
Yeah, right? It's real.
Yeah, let's just leave that one alone, please. And
Yes.
yeah. Well, Cami, we appreciate you coming on here and sharing all these insights. I feel like I knew nothing about laundromats before this, so I'm glad that now
I'm
I can
fascinated.
share with my friends and family all things laundromat.
Good, I'm glad.
Um, and we'll be following along closely. We wish you continued success from here. I'm sure you'll have it as you grow and expand and whatever else the future brings you.
Okay, thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
All right, hang tight.